Good morning. It's that time of day again, and it is Friday. Looking forward to more snow here in the St. Louis area this weekend. It's been a cold, cold, cold winter for us. Welcome to Find Your Inner Flavor. I am your co-host, or I guess I'm your host, really, Becky Schoenig. I'm one of the co-owners of Symbol. Symbol is a healthy lifestyle-focused restaurant located in Kirkwood and in Chesterfield, Missouri. We focus on food as medicine. So Find Your Inner Flavor is all about tapping into the community of experts that are out there, seeking some of their knowledge and expertise and bringing it to you as a resource so that you can figure out how to ask the right questions and find the strength and hope to get you on your own healing journey and track. And joining me today is Amanda LaPlante. I am always thrilled when Amanda and I first met. I don't even remember how we first met, but I know. Do you even remember how we first met?
I don't. Yeah, I've been a fan of Symbol and of yours for quite a while. And at some point our paths crossed and we finally connected. So.
Yeah, we were a guest on your radio show and then we pulled you on. This is your second time on here. And now we're collaborating with you, pulling in some health coaching components into the Symbol platform. But really, and then we went out singing karaoke last weekend together.
We did. Nailed it.
We were busting a move in every form and fashion. And I'll tell you what, I had so much fun. I wasn't even aware of anything else in my surroundings except for it was like this, we were just having fun.
That's the goal.
That is the goal. That is the goal. So let's talk a little bit more about you and your journey. And I love your journey so much because it's still so fresh and new. And through your journey, you decided to help others. So give us a little bit of a snippet of your background.
Yeah. Okay. So I have a master's in communication, was working in sales and marketing in various capacities. And over a period of about 20 years, I racked up 7 or more autoimmune disease diagnoses and things like interstitial cystitis, Crohn's, Hashimoto's. I had Meniere's, Sjogren's, several others. And really, basically, it kind of felt like it was a kitchen sink diagnosis in a way. Every time I went in, it was something different, just adding on top of things. And really, as of 2012, the kicker was I got diagnosed with rheumatic fever with Sydenham's chorea, which is an autoimmune response to strep. And strep is everywhere. So it really got to a point where I couldn't even leave the house. The chorea portion of that diagnosis was actually a movement disorder, similar to the movement disorder associated with Tourette's. Most people are familiar with that. So that would be the closest kind of comparison to picture. And so when I did try to leave the house and do my job, which was sales and marketing at the time and in publishing, and I would be sitting across the table from someone trying to sell a contract and doing this, like just completely unable to stop moving. It was constant. And so, yeah, basically things just broke down. My body and my life, everything just came to a halt. So 2014, May, right? So I went for 2 years of basically meds in bed and just trying to get by. And in 2014, I got a big time wake up call. At that time, I had 18 active prescriptions. I was getting injections in my feet every few months just to be able to walk because I had extreme plantar fasciitis in the morning, couldn't even get out of bed and walk. All kinds of other things going wrong. And I had gotten a couple of the doctors I was seeing, so at the time, 6 specialists and a primary care physician every month. And a couple of those doctors had told me in May of 2014 that I should consider permanent disability. And I was 34 years old. So that Mother's Day, the really, that was hard to hear that from a few doctors, right? And then to come home and for Mother's Day, I got a card from my son. It was a little flip card. And he was 7 at the time. And in it, he had, every page was something about mommy and he had to draw a picture. And he got to mom is good at, and he drew sleeping. And I thought, okay, this is where I am in my life. This can't be. 2 pages later in that card, it said, my mom's favorite food is, and he had drawn, or he wrote chalut, which I still don't know what that means, nor does he. Do you guys serve chalut at Symbol?
Well, I don't know, but we might make a dish just named after you called chalut.
Yeah, and he drew a picture, and it kind of looked like a pizza with the chili dog on top, which is probably pretty close to the way I ate at the time. And because I just never understood the importance of nutrition in connection to health. I grew up a child of teen parents in the 80s. And I remember the time when we finally got to the point that we could afford the name brand Fruity Pebbles and Count Chocula. You know, that was like a huge day for us. So, you know, who knew how important food was? But that, for some reason, was a light bulb moment. And as luck would have it, God would have it, I sat down that weekend. My husband had gotten me a Roku stick for Mother's Day. And I plugged it in, and I turned on Netflix, and I ran across this movie called Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead. Have you heard of that one?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So I flipped that on because, you know, basically I read the description. It said something to the effect of man works in sales and marketing, has rare autoimmune disease, goes on soul-searching journey, heals through nutrition. And I was like, okay, yes, please. So we watched it, and when we got done, my husband and I just kind of looked at each other, and I said, is it crazy that I want to quit my job and like go on this journey and try to heal through nutrition? And he's like, no, what you're doing now is crazier, because I had 2 little containers full of pills and creams and just all kinds of stuff. And my whole day revolved around, you know, what medicines do I take when, what can I take together? What can I take with food? What can I eat? What has to be on an empty stomach? It was crazy, and I was barely functioning. So that's where it all started for me. I did actually quit my job. I bought a juicer, and I started doing some green juice, and then that started to make my blood work look better. And I thought, okay, that's just green juice. What else am I missing? And it really just snowballed from there in a very good way.
And how long ago was this? Because I think that's, you know, I think we can always look at somebody, like I can look at you and go, oh my gosh, she's got it all together. She knows exactly what she's doing. She's been doing this for a really long time. But it wasn't really that long ago. So how long ago was it that you were from there to where it is that you are now?
Yeah. So that was May of 2014. I started that journey. I started, like I said, 18 active prescriptions at the pharmacy, barely able to get out of bed. I was 50 pounds heavier. Check that picture out on my website. People don't believe it was me. I didn't believe it was me at the time. I knew there was something else inside to get to, right? And 18 months later, I was down to just 2, I believe. 2, or it might have been 4 prescriptions. And I actually, when I give talks, I put my medical records up on the screen. I'm not shy about it. I'm like, look, here's what I was on. And there were medications for depression, anxiety, at one point bipolar, in addition to all of the gut meds and the thyroid, everything. It's amazing what's possible, but you really have to set your mind to it. You've got to be ready, and you got to get real about a lot of stuff. And that's why I call, you know, my show and some other things, I call it Get Real to Heal, because that's what I had to do.
Yeah.
See,
I like saying that that's how spirit works through us. You know, when we're ready, even if, you know, I think it's an energy thing of we're saying we're ready. Show me something. And the Netflix movie just so happened to be the stepping stone to moving in the right direction. In 2014, would you have been standing on a stage singing karaoke and dancing your heart out the way that you were last weekend?
Oh no. My quality of life is awesome. My life's awesome now. You know, it's all possible.
It is, you know, and I think, and I've been sharing this here recently a lot, my own personal story of, you know, being diagnosed with bipolar and depression in my 20s, and very similar, you know, story of finding my own health, but then going off kilter for a couple of years due to stress with the business and all of these other components. And when you really do say, I'm going to take ownership of my own health and I'm going to start making changes, happiness is literally right around the corner. And yes, it takes some work. Yes, it takes some time. And yes, you're going to mess up every once in a while. but it is, when we talk about this happiness component, it exists in a magical sort of way. So you kind of have to test it out.
Yeah, no, it does. And I think it's letting go in your life, letting go of old beliefs, old ways, things that don't serve you, relationships that don't serve you, and really opening yourself up and creating space for those good things to come into your life.
Absolutely. So let's talk about this now that you're a health coach. Question that I have is, when is it appropriate for you to work with a health coach? And when is it that you have to take the next step and seek out a functional or integrative doctor?
So it's a really good question. I wish I had had a health coach to help me along my journey, because there were a lot of things that I just figured out on my own, or bouncing around to different doctors. Thankfully, I had a few that, like you said, spirit kind of just opens the door when it's time. So, one of the functional medicine doctors that was instrumental in my healing, I actually didn't even know she did that. It was Dr. Christina Robbins, and we were at a dinner party with friends and family and started into this conversation about functional medicine, and that was the first time that I heard about it. So to back up and answer your question, though, so health coaching is unregulated, right? And there are lots of different types of health coaches out there. One thing that I encourage people to do is, most of the certified health coaches in the field they've usually come to this career as a second career, and it's usually by way of their own personal experiences. So finding someone that you can relate to, who can relate to you and your story, who can help you and guide you toward the right resources. But I very rarely suggest that anyone who has autoimmune disease diagnoses or serious health problems going on work just with a health coach. I usually work in tandem with a doctor or two.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that is the perfect fit. Your functional medicine doctor, you don't have to go to really all that frequently. You're going to them when you're doing your lab works and you're discussing what your results are. They're not going to dive into the work with you like a health coach is going to dive into the work with you. And that's where I find the complementary components to play a role in it, and why we valued at Symbol pulling in a resource like yourself, because we were hearing the customers who are the patients who are so frustrated and so lost. This food piece is extremely confusing. I know a lot. I work with a lot of people that know a lot. But if I didn't work in this, if I wasn't immersed in it, I can see how challenging it can be for somebody. Everything in Whole Foods and Trader Joe's is not healthy for you. I think the rule of thumb still to this, I think where everybody can agree on is that if you walk the perimeter of a grocery store, you're getting real food. Anything down those aisles should be limited. The spices, however, are down one of the aisles.
Yeah, well, and even when you walk the perimeters, what has been modified.
Yeah.
So knowing that kind of information, there's a lot to know. There's a lot to learn. It's all figure outable.
So let's talk about some of the layers, because for you, one of the first steps was gut health, gaining control of your gut. But you shared with me earlier a new layer that you're starting to focus on for your own personal health. And what layer is that?
Yeah, so, I got my gut health back online. All of my autoimmune diseases are in remission, and hopefully will stay there with the right moves. But I want my mojo back. So, I want my vim and vigor. I want my sex drive. I want my hormones back. And a lot of times when you've had chronic inflammatory conditions, your adrenals get tired, they get taxed. You don't handle stress quite as well as you used to. The stress response is different. And so those sex hormones, those secondary hormones, right, they aren't quite as easy to produce and to balance. So I'm really interested in learning more, and I'm going through this process myself of trying to rebalance all of my hormones, learning how to control my stress level even better. it's an interesting process. So what I'm doing is I have a 6-month hormone health program that I'm getting ready to launch. I'm going through this right now myself and learning everything myself and trying it all out on myself. And it's pretty cool what can be done, right? So it's not just about getting back to feeling better, but how can we continue to biohack and feel our absolute best?
Okay, so you tapped into something that I've never actually considered or thought of. As women, you know, it is talked about often that we have a low sex drive. As you get older, as you have kids, sex drive kind of gets depleted. For a man, they can take a little blue pill and everything seems to work for them. For women, unless it's Bradley Cooper standing in front of us, I don't know. It might take a little bit more work.
He does it for you, huh?
Well, he showed up in a dream of mine the other night, and I'm not going to lie. I woke up feeling a whole lot better.
Yeah, I blame Lady Gaga and her song. It's such an earworm. Bradley Cooper is just in there all the time now. Yeah. Yeah, but you're right. And so, well, that's not fair. Women should be able to have a sex drive too, right? And
so are you saying you're autoimmune? That's where I was getting to. And then Bradley Cooper popped back up in my head and I got distracted. So what we're talking about though is you're saying that your autoimmune disease and your gut health probably is playing a role on your sex drive and your hormones as well. Mm-hmm. So if you cleared up the gut health, what are give me some snippets of what are you now focused on? Like, how are you, what are some of the stepping stones?
Well, and I think there are things that there is information and a lot of research being done on things like circadian rhythm, right? So basically not just the role of gut health in our overall health, but really optimizing glandular and brain health to basically get everything to click the way it should, right? In a 24-hour rhythm, certain hormones should be produced at certain times. And there are different parts in the brain and in the body that produce those hormones. But if those are all optimal and if everything is working together as we want them to in functional medicine, then we should be able to have a healthy sex drive, you know, appropriate amounts of hormone to be able to shut off our brain and go to sleep at the right time. Yeah, there's a lot more to it than that. And it's hard to encapsulate in a nutshell, but that's why I'm going to take 6 months to walk through it with people so that we can make the right changes and really give everyone the education and information to empower them to understand that endocrine system, to understand how all those hormones work together in the body, and then be able to go back to their doctor and say, okay, this is, you know, like have an understanding to empower them to be their own health detective. Go back to their doctor and say, okay, I think these are the things I need to test. Here's what I think we could do. And there are a lot of different ways to hack the hormones. There are some natural herbs and different remedies that we can do that people can try at home. And then there's also bioidentical hormone replacement therapy and several other options that you can do with a functional medicine doctor to really get things on track. And for me, it's been a combination of those and still is. I'm a work in progress and I'm still learning.
Yeah, and I am wanting to pull in a doctor at some point, talking about the testosterone levels, both in females and in males, and how that plays a huge role in not only your sex drive, but also in weight loss. I learned that through my own experience several years ago, having all of those levels tested and realizing I had no testosterone.
Yeah.
And it is normal for a female to have that in them as well as men. So it's uncovering, it is constantly the layers and the layers and the layers. But it's not as difficult and challenging as one might think.
Right. Yeah. And I think we tend to overcomplicate things, and it doesn't have to be that hard. It doesn't have to be that complicated. But it is about taking one step at a time and figuring out which step to take next.
Yeah. Yeah. So you've got that in the works, and you're also doing a coaching program through Symbol. Is that, I can't remember, is it 8 or 10 weeks?
It's 8 weeks. We're taking a break at one point. So yeah, it'll stretch out a little bit further than 8 weeks, but it's an 8-week program. And yeah, I'm really enjoying it so far. This was our first week meeting, and I think the group is going to gel really well. If anyone still wants to get in, they can still do that. We're not too far in to do that.
Okay, so I was going to ask you that question. So
Sure.
you will allow somebody to pop in to the group if they're still wanting to, starting this Tuesday. How far in will you allow somebody to join? Maybe 2 or 3 weeks in, or play it by ear?
You know, what I can do is any materials that they, anything that they've missed up to this point, I do have handouts and resources that go along with the program. So I'm able to pass those along to them if they don't mind kind of catching up. And I'm happy to be a resource to them to pick my brain as they're going through those materials to get caught up. I would say, up to 3 or so weeks in would be fine. They could still jump in and probably catch up. And it really depends on what their goals are, right? We're covering different topics each week. There's a lot of good meat in there all the way through. I don't know that there is a time to get in that's too late. We can always figure something out. Everything is figure outable.
Perfect. And I do want to mention also that if this hormone class is of interest to you, I am working with Amanda to probably do a dinner and introductory to what that is, and then also pushing her to do something online instead of in person. So we'll see what she does. Okay. So
technology.
I
think I can serve a lot more people that way, and I really appreciate your input on that.
Absolutely. I'm going to take a few moments and now ask you some questions that are not necessarily health related,
okay,
but they're maybe Amanda related. So you go into karaoke. What's the absolute first song and #1 favorite song to sing on stage?
Oh, that's a good one, Becky. Actually, so I have a thing that I do, and it's kind of nerdy and embarrassing. I actually email myself anytime I nail a song in the car. This is a thing I started doing because I discovered a couple of years ago, I was like, I really enjoy karaoke. This is great. I don't know, maybe I opened that chakra or something, but all of a sudden it was like, karaoke's fantastic. And then I would get to the karaoke place with all my friends, and we're saying they hand you this huge book. Who has time for that? And I couldn't think of a song off the top of my head. So I just started emailing myself every time I nail a song in the car. So I don't know. Sometimes it's Britney Spears. Sometimes it's Kings of Leon. Sometimes it's Baby Got Back. I don't have one. I have many.
You have built your own portfolio, and it will become a book this big as well.
Yeah.
Okay, another question for you. Do you remember the first outfit you put on after you were on your health journey that you put on and you said, damn girl, you look good?
Yeah, I do.
What was it?
It was a little black dress. And I actually have a picture on my Facebook page. It used to be on my website, but it's on my Facebook page of me meditating in that dress at Angel Oak, which is in North Carolina, I believe. But yeah, I still love that dress. Yeah, it felt so good. Yeah, 50 pounds down.
I remember, it just hit me. I haven't shared this and I haven't thought of this memory in a really, really long time, but I remember being in my 20s, my husband working. I was not working because I was so depressed. And I remember him giving me $100 bill. I dropped him off at work, and it'll bring emotion. I'll get emotional. And I remember him giving me $100 bill and saying, go buy yourself something that you feel really good in, and I'm taking you out for an amazing dinner tonight. And it was a little red dress. And I remember putting that dress on, and I remember so wanting to feel good in it. And I just could not feel good in it. And I could not go have this dinner. And it was like I was pretending. It was like I was pretending to feel good. I was pretending to have a good time. So I can share my little red dress. You can share your little black dress. But I can tell you right now, if I go find that little red dress, I'd bang that bitch out. Because this is on the internet, so I can do it. I'm not going to be very good if they syndicate anything on TV.
Details.
I know.
Yeah. Oh, it's a journey for sure. And I got to tell you, I was still working through. So I think at the point that I put that black dress on, though, had just gotten off of, I've just gotten off of my antidepressant finally. And it takes a while to get really back to feeling good and feeling normal. And it takes a lot of work on mindset. And it's taken for me a lot of energy work, a lot of counseling, a lot of things.
Yeah.
To get to that
really
point.
I would say, I don't think your health is any different than business. You have to find the right team of people to support you on the journey. And you have to step out of the way and let certain people, just like certain doctors or coaches, help direct you and help guide you. Doing anything in a large capacity, whether it's your health, whether it's business, whatever it is, you have to find your tribe. You have to find your community of support, friends, family, whatever that is.
100% agree.
Well, so I'm going to ask you a favor, and I have not shared this with you yet. May 10th, you know that I'm part of an event that I'm working on with Lisa Jenkins. And I would like for you at some point at that event to share the stage with me. Will you?
I would love that. I didn't even let you finish talking. There was so little hesitation. Yes. Love it.
Well, I think you are such an inspiration to so many, your personal story, but you're so humble with it, and you take things really on a realistic component and baby step people through the process. But you are the one that really, because it's so real and so new for you, I think that there's so much value that you can bring to somebody else.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. I do this because I love people, and I want everyone, I've seen what's possible, right? And I want everyone to have their best, most vibrant life. And I really believe that they can. Yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely. So thank you for being a part of my community and my tribe. I absolutely love and appreciate you. And we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. We'll make sure that the event is put on there. I'm not sure now that we've started the event. I'll talk to Lacey about the details if somebody is wanting to still join the coaching program. We'll make sure that that information is put into the comments. All of these videos, if you are watching this now and you're going, oh, what other resources are out there? If you follow us on our website, www.mysymbowl.com, and you go to the podcast or the learn more and go to find your inner flavor, you'll see all of the archived videos that it is with all of the different guests. I am not a health professional. I am not here to give you advice. That is between you and your doctor. These are just resources for you. And I also encourage you that if you are seeking somebody, these videos are great for you to go research, listen to, and see who it is that you're connected to reach out and see if they're the right fit for you. Amanda, thank you again for joining me today. I look forward to seeing you the next time. And you might see her and I on stage doing karaoke again as well. So that was so much fun last Friday. I am Becky. I am the host of Find Your Inner Flavor. I'm also the co-owner of Symbol. Symbol is located in Kirkwood and in Chesterfield, Missouri. We are a healthy lifestyle-focused restaurant. If food is medicine, Symbol is your pharmacy. We are connecting you with the resources that can help bring your health, happiness, and wealth back to reality.